Hey folks, today we are taking a look at Transformers FOC Deluxe Class Air Raid. Now this is a remold of the Shockwave figure that was released in the same line. There is virtually no difference in robot mode between the two figures other than paint scheme, a new head, and a remolded chest. As you can see, the chest is definitely different than Shockwave, and it looks good. It looks like a little rocket wing. It looks like a little set of rocket wings. Oh, and there's this peg right here, but we'll talk about that later. The head is very nice, though it does have quite a bit of light piping in the back. I mean, most of the back of the head is for light piping, yet it only has two little eye slits. Very, very weird. Posability of the figure is exactly the same of Shockwave. Head is on a swivel, arms are on a swivel at the shoulder, and then a hinge for in and out movement. Elbows are on a ball joint, so you've got plenty of articulation there. Fists can move in and out. No torso articulation. Hips are on a ball joint, so good bit of articulation there. 90 degree bend at the hinge at the knee, and then the feet can pirouette. So overall, though, the look of the figure is quite nice. However, I do have a problem with the naming. This guy is named Air Raid. I think this looks like two other G1 figures, namely Chrome Dome, the Headmaster. The head is very similar to that with the chest. And then the Autobot tape, or one of the tapes from the Autobot side. Or a weird combination of the head of Eject and the body of Frenzy. Just weird. Anyway, I'm not sure why they decided on this paint scheme for the name Air Raid, but I'm glad this figure is out. He does come with two very interesting accessories, the first of which is a remold of Shockwave's cannon. So instead of Shockwave's cannon having 3 guns, you get this gun that is 2 barrels, and then that attaches with this Giganto sword bit, or bayonet bit. So the bayonet bit can either be held individually by the figure, or you can attach it, as I had it there, and have a gun with a big pointy thing on the end. Also, this can be stored on the back, though you're not going to want to store it collapsed. You'll want to store it so that it's pointing forward, and then that just creates some questionable content. So this gun with the Giganto bayonet is pretty cool. But then he also comes with a sword, which looks disturbingly like the sword from He-Man. Okay, it's not exactly that, but it does look similar. Okay, go with me with similar. So he's got this sword now, which is cool. But then the sword opens up. So he's got a giant pair of sword scissors, which is equally cool. But then, if you put it all the way back like this, he now has a sword boomerang. That is interesting. And then it can combine with this to look really, really silly. So what it looks like, and it just feels like these guys are supposed to be able to combine somehow. But then when you try it and you line things up, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. It also appears that you're supposed to be able to initially combine maybe these two sections somehow. And for the life of me, I've been trying to figure out a decent way to do that while he can still hold it. And this is pretty much the best I can come up with. So he's got a completely impractical sword. The sword of impracticality! I have the power! Okay, I'm not doing that. So you can then end up with something like this, where it looks just plain goofy. I don't know how that would even be useful in battle. Transformation for this guy is exactly the same as Shockwave, with a little bit of a difference. The little bit of a difference being you just need to make sure that the the bayonet is folded at a 90-degree angle and attached to the double barrel gun. So that is important. So, as I said, transformation is exactly the same as Shockwave. Start by folding the fists up into the forearms, then taking the shoulders and pulling them away from the body as far as you can. Take the chest piece and push it up. When you do that, you can then collapse the head and then flip the chest piece all the way around to the back. Then take the shoulders and fold them up until they snap into where the chest piece was. Then you'll want to take the shoulder bits and turn them such that the actual outside of the shoulders are pointing straight down. When you do that, you should then be able to combine them or connect them together. And this is the only issue I have with this mode, is that the sides just don't want to stay combined and take a lot of force. And even with a lot of force, I think the peg hole that is supposed to hold them together is not properly sized. So when you do that, you can then turn the fists so that they can peg into each other and fold them up and peg them into the back of the jet, like that. There we go. And then just kind of work things around so that everything doesn't fall out of place. Then for the legs, what we're going to do is open the legs, and I kind of goofed here because you're supposed to put the cannon in between the legs first, but I was able to manage to get it in there. And then when you do that, then close the legs up around it, peg them in, and then flip the sides around and peg them into place. And then you can close up the bayonet, and then fold the wings around. And I apologize for this whole transformation being a little bit combobulated. Ah, come on. And the only reason I am having trouble with this is because, for some reason, I am blanking on the process. And there we go. Now, unfortunately, because he has a giant bayonet sticking out of the bottom of him, he does have a little bit of a stability issue when you put him on a table, so he kind of leans off to the side. Now, you can deploy the bayonet in this mode, sort of. So he flies and then cuts people as he flies, so that actually works. Then what you can do with this is you actually peg this into the sword into the top of his robot or vehicle mode, and you can either just have the sword pointing forward, or I prefer to have it just slicked straight back. And that works. It works. This vehicle mode is a lot less entertaining looking in this color than it is in this color. I just like the Shockwave a lot better. My chief problem, though, the Autobot symbol's upside down in this mode. I know that's a very, very small, stupid, annoying thing to complain about, but it's my small, stupid thing, OCD, that's saying, no, in vehicle mode, you should not have to fly like this in order to get the Autobot symbol to be seen correctly. So, vehicle mode-wise, I think Shockwave is a better figure. I like the accessories that come with Air Raid. I really do like these accessories. Even though I like Shockwave's cannon, I have to say I dig the bayonet and the sword. I really like just the idea of those two. It's just something that's neat and different. And that's something that I like about the current crop of deluxe FOC figures. They're doing something different with accessories, and I appreciate that. Overall, Air Raid is a pretty good figure. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a good mold. That being said, I don't think this figure works perfectly in these colors. I would have liked to have seen different colors. But I understand why Hasbro chose these colors. They wanted something drastically different than Decepticon purple. And I understand that. I get that. I just don't know if the mold works the way they intended it to. And the fact that the Autobot symbol is upside down in vehicle mode, I really don't like that. But overall, the figure is a good figure with good accessories. If you weren't able to get the Shockwave figure and you like this mold, then pick Air Raid up.